It's so much knitting that I don't really know where to start. Hi everyone, I'm Liz and welcome to the very first episode of Elizabeth Ann Can Knit. I'm assuming most of you guys know me as Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. That is the name of my channel here on YouTube, where I share everything that I craft, everything that I make, and typically it has been a lot of cross stitch and quilting and sewing. But over the last 6 months, I have started knitting again. I started knitting in college. I taught myself how to knit by looking at various books and online videos. I think it was even pre-YouTube, so it was, like how to knit websites that had little tiny, terrible quality videos, and, I sat there in my dorm room and taught myself how to knit. And I was a pretty active knitter for about 10 years until I took a little bit of a break. And this past summer, well, I guess a couple of years ago, I started a couple of projects, but I didn't really get into them or finish them. And really over the last 6 months, I've gotten way back into knitting. And I typically like to film every 2 weeks a kind of crafty report. I call them my floss tubes, where I share everything that I've been working on. So that includes my cross stitch, my sewing, my quilting, my knitting, my crochet, anything. But I had so much to share right now that I thought I would do a dedicated knitting video. And I don't know how often I will put up dedicated knitting specific videos, probably just as content allows, like as I have a lot of stuff to show that I feel like it would be too much with everything else I'm working on. So yeah, this is the very first standalone knitting episode. Welcome. If you are new to my channel and new to me, I'm Liz, and I live in Cedar Park, Texas, which is a suburb of Austin, Texas. It's where I've lived most of my life, and I live here with my husband and our 3 cats. And my motto is craft is life. I am always making, always doing, always working on something, and over the last month, it has been a lot of knitting. It's so much knitting that I don't really know where to start. But I am going to start with a finished object and what I am currently wearing. So this is my Stripe Hype sweater by Veronica Lindbergh, and it's done. It's done. It's been done for a couple of weeks, but I haven't been back to share it with you in a couple of weeks. I think in my last video, I had one of the sleeves done and was like halfway done with the second sleeve. So, yay! I will take some video and stuff to put in to give you a better look at it, but I'm absolutely in love with how this turned out. I have not always had the best success with my garment knitting in the past. I have knit a lot of sweaters, vests, cardigans, and things in the past, and I wasn't always the best at picking the correct size or making modifications to make sure it would be something that I want to wear. And I am so happy with how this turned out. I think the difference between now and 10, 15 years ago when I used to knit heavily is that styles have changed a little bit. Everything now tends to be a little more boxy and oversized, which I'm into. And it also makes it super easy to like fit into a garment you're making. If you're purposely kind of making it oversized and you like that look, it's a little bit easier to get something that fits. So I'm gonna have to grab my phone to pull up my Ravelry stats, I just realized, so I can give you all the information about this sweater. If you want to follow me on Ravelry, I'll link it down below. My name on Ravelry is Elizabeth Ann Can, and that's only because Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch and Elizabeth Ann Can Knit were too many letters for a Ravelry username. So, Stripe Hype. I knit this on US 6 needles, recommended needles. My gauge was 20 stitches by 26 rows. So I got stitch gauge, but I did not get row gauge, which led me to do a few modifications. I did knit the size extra large. I think my bust measurement is around 46 inches, 45, 46 inches. I haven't measured in a while. So I knit the size extra large to kind of fall within that ease guideline. And I knit my sweater in all Madeline Tosh DK yarn. Madeline Tosh is one of my absolute favorite yarns, and this DK weight was a absolute pleasure to knit with. So the modifications I made, I followed the instructions for the smaller sizes when it came to knitting the top, front and back of the sweater. Because my row gauge was so off, mine was coming out longer than the recommended pattern. And so I think it called for maybe, I'm trying to see in the camera. So this red stripe, I think it called for like this blue stripe or something to happen before you split for the armholes on the larger sizes, but it was different for the smaller sizes. And so I followed the smaller sizes to get the depth that would work with my row gauge, if that makes sense. And then the same thing on the sleeves. It calls for adding, you know, an extra main color stripe before you add your cuff, but my sleeves would have come out way too long if I did that. You'll see when I'm standing, they do come like down over my hand, but when I sit up, you know, they kind of drop down a little bit, which I am totally fine with. This really does fit like a really comfy sweatshirt. You know, it cinches in. I didn't crop it. I knit it to the length that was suggested. Again, omitting the last main color stripe just due to my row gauge. So this falls right below my belly button and just fits like a comfy crew neck sweatshirt. And yeah, I absolutely love it. What else do I have to say about this? Oh, I was slightly worried when blocking it, just that some of the darker colors might bleed. And so I knit a striped swatch after I knit the sweater, using the red and navy in the main color, and washed and blocked that with 0 color bleed. So then when I blocked my sweater, I did put in a color catcher into the water, and absolutely no dye came off in the water, on the color catcher, on the sweater. Like, I am so impressed with how this Madeline Tosh yarn held its dye. So yay. Okay, I think that's everything on my stripe hype sweater. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I am definitely new to showing off my knitting on YouTube, so I'll get better and learn the most important details that people want to know. But yeah, feel free to ask any questions, and I will link all of my Ravelry project pages in the description box for you, as well as if I can link yarn and tools and different things I talk about, I'll put everything in the description box below the video. The next project I have to share is also a recent finish, and this is it. It's a little beanie. This is the CC Knit beanie. I'll put the pattern details here. This is a project I actually started a couple of years ago when I tried to get back into knitting and felt that bug again, but I left this with just basically the ribbing of the hat done. And I also didn't leave myself any notes on what I was doing. I didn't create a Ravelry project page for this, so I had to figure out what pattern I was knitting, what my gauge was, what I was doing. So luckily, in one of my floss tube episodes back in 2021, I did mention the pattern that I was using for this. So great, I found my pattern. But what I didn't talk about was my gauge. This pattern is written for chunky weight yarn and I think size 10 needles. And I used Malabrigo worsted weight, another one of my favorite yarns, in the color Ravelry Red. And I knit this on US size 7 needles. So drastically different gauge than what was called for. So of course I had cast on a different amount. I think I had done all this calculation in math back in 2021, but I did not leave myself any notes. Luckily it was pretty easy to figure out. I did have to kind of make up the decreasing on the top of the hat because it didn't line up with kind of what was called for. But it's done and it fits. Let me try it on and see if I can not like completely mess up my hair. So this is what it looks like on. It's just a tight-fitting beanie that covers the tops of my ears. This is kind of my preferred hat style. I don't love like a where you have like the extra room at the top of the hat. I'm not sure what that style is called, but like kind of a loose fitting beanie. I like kind of close fit right over the ears style. As I mentioned, I live in Texas, so I don't need a ton of warm stuff. It really doesn't get super cold here. And when it does, it's like a week maybe. But I love hand knit items, so whatever, it's fine. Yeah, so this is my CC Boulder beanie, I believe is the name of it. At my own gauge, own yarn, etc. Yeah, I think it's super cute and I like how it turned out. I am debating adding a pom-pom. I kind of think it needs it. So I might look online at some of those like pre-made pom-poms and end up adding one to it just for fun. So we will see. That is my beanie. Okay, now I'm going to move into my whips and what I've been working on over the past few weeks. And the first one is another hat, and this one is for my husband, Rob. And we are going visit his family in Indiana in a couple of weeks. And Indiana is much colder than it is here in Texas. And he wanted a hat, and so I want to get this done for him before we go in a couple of weeks. And luckily I am almost done, or at least I'm like 3/4 of the way done. I am knitting the Musselburgh hat by Isolde Teague, and how do I show this? This looks crazy. If you've ever knit a Musselburgh hat, you probably know why it looks crazy. Here is what it's looking like so far, like a long rounded tube. He requested kind of a black, dark gray with a pop of red. And so here is this yarn. This is a Sweet Georgia sock yarn in the color charcoal. And then the accent red is the Madeline Tosh sock yarn in the color tart. Super pretty. I love this tart color. I've used it in other projects. And since this is just the accent stripe, I will have plenty left to knit socks or any other project I want to knit out of the leftovers. I'm sure I'll have like 80 grams of this left over. Oh, I also have this project in a project bag that I made myself. I have a tutorial up on my channel that I'll link below if you also want to make yourself a little drawstring sock bag, also perfect for a hat. Okay, so about the hat, what do I want to say? I am using US size 2 needles, and I think I am knitting the adult large size, and I have it all in my Ravelry details. I am using some little stitch markers to count my rows. He wanted the style of hat that is no fold over brim. So it's just a pullover beanie. It doesn't have the fold up brim. So this will be kind of a shorter Musselburgh because you'll just fold it in half and be done. And so I believe the halfway point is where this blue marker is right here. So you can see I'm well into the second half. And so when you fold it in half, it'll just be this length, and it'll be reversible. So one side will be completely solid black charcoal, and then the other side will have this big fun red stripe. So he can wear it either way he wants. This is my first time knitting the Musselburgh hat. I think I just, through watching so much knitting YouTube lately, I've been watching a lot of like Nitty Natty, and Knee Knits is another one of my favorites. Marlene Knits. If y'all have any knitting podcast recommendations, I'd love to hear them in the comments because I've been really getting into knitting podcasts lately. It's really fun. I don't love calling them podcasts because they are video content, but I realize that's what everyone calls their YouTube videos. That's a whole other discussion. But anyways, do I have anything left to say about the Musselburgh hat? I don't think so. This one should be a finish in the next couple of weeks because I want him to be able to wear it on our trip to the cold north of Indiana. So yeah, that's the first whip. The next whip I have to share with you guys is this craziness. This is my boyfriend's scarf. I'm forgetting the name. I don't like looking at my phone while I'm doing this, so I'm just going to put all the pattern and information that I feel like I've left out up on the screen for you here, and I will of course link my Ravelry project pages. But yes, this is the boyfriend scarf. It is a free pattern, and I am knitting this with Hedgehog Fibers Merino Aran weight yarn, and I believe my color is called Filigree. I don't know. I'll put it on the screen for you. But I'm using 3 balls of the hedgehog fibers, and I am well into my third ball now. I have a progress marker. So the last time I would have shown you this on a floss tube episode, I made it to here. So I've knit about another foot of the scarf. I think I have about one more foot of scarf to knit to finish up this last ball of yarn. I'm absolutely obsessed with hedgehog fibers. This is my first time knitting with their yarn, and it is lovely. It is a hand dye, so it's on the more expensive side, but I have expensive tastes when it comes to my craft supplies. I know I do. Yeah, I really like the hand dyed stuff, especially like in my cross stitch, like the hand dyed linens, hand dyed floss. It follows me over into my knitting. So you will probably notice a lot of hand dyed yarns that I knit with, because I really like the finished objects, but I'm also really like a process knitter. I want to really enjoy the process of knitting with the yarn, the needles, the pattern, like all of that stuff's really important to me because I spend a lot of time doing it. So I do tend to buy expensive yarn. But yeah, anyways, why am I talking about money? This is the yarn. Let's see, I think I'm knitting this on size 9 needles. Nope, I'm using size 8, 5.0 millimeter needles. I tend to almost always use the ChalGoo red lace needles. These are pointy, slick, nice. The cable doesn't bend weird. I don't know. Love a ChalGoo. So yeah, that is my scarf. And I am also really wanting to take this with me to Indiana when we go. So I've got 2.5 more weeks to knit the rest of the scarf, but that should be easy peasy, honestly. I've just been really focused on a project I'll show you in a second. That has been like the only thing I've done for the last week. So I haven't gotten these done like I wanted to, but that's okay. They'll get done. I don't have enough project bags for knitting because again, I just like kind of started knitting like 6 months ago, like heavily. And so I have this crazy zipper, like kind of quilting project bag from Tula Pink that I'm obsessed with. It's so colorful. And so I've just been keeping the scarf in this big clear zipper bag and I love it. Okay, I have some new cast-ons that are also whips. So let's do those. Another bag that I made, and I made actually a couple of these for 2 of my friends. We had plans to start the Stephen West MCal Geo Gradient, and it got off to a rocky start. We were all we had like started and restarted multiple times, and then we ended up deciding let's wait and see what the full thing looks like before we keep restarting. And then we decided that we weren't super into the final result. And so I had found a bunch of shawl suggestions for 4 colors of yarn from you guys leaving comments on my video a few weeks ago, and sent those to my friends, and we ended up picking the Casa Pinka Snarkometer shawl, which is another 4-color shawl, and it actually was a mystery knit along, I think in 2021, and it's super cute. And so that's what I ended up restarting with the yarn for my Geo Gradient MCal. So I'm not going to grab all these balls and hold them up. I think I have a picture. These are the yarns I'm using. They are all Cascade Heritage sock yarn. This is my first time working with a Cascade sock yarn. Again, I mostly buy like hand-dyed sock yarn because that's what I love. But I think the Geo Gradient had called for like not too variegated or not too speckled. Like it was like mostly tonals. And so I was like, let me just get some solid color yarns that I love. So maybe it was a couple of weeks ago now, my friends and I had a little cast-on Zoom party, and I should mention it's Shiloh, X-Stitch MD, and Lauren, the New Hampshire Stitcher. The 3 of us had a little cast-on Zoom to start our snarkometers. And so here is what mine is looking like. I have completely finished the first clue. I think there are 6 clues in this pattern. So I finished the first and I have started on the second. I think the second clue is just this pink and maroon section up here. But yeah, it's super fun to knit. This crazy section with these little like puff balls was an adventure. I definitely started knitting that completely wrong and had to rip out. I think I literally Googled, you know, like Casa Pinka, Snarkometer, whatever stitch she called it, and found some random video where somebody very helpfully walked me through it, because I had no idea what I was doing with those. But it's super, super fun to just like have a new stitch pattern every section, mixing in the color work. I am a big fan of color work, if you can't tell by my striped sweater and all my crazy variegated yarns that I love to work with. I love bright colors. One thing that's like kind of a problem is that I don't always wear super bright colors. I mean, I have no problem wearing colors like this, but sometimes I do want more like subtle neutral colors, but I find it hard to knit in neutral colors because I love the hand dye, I love the variegation. It just like keeps me excited and interested. So sometimes I struggle with like wearability after the fact versus like wanting to keep my interest in knitting. I think stripes might be my answer because I do have a project planned for the winter with some more neutral yarns, but it's striped. So I feel like that'll keep my interest and excitement, but it'll also be more wearable because it's more neutral. So anyways, I'll share that in a future video because I haven't gotten the yarn in for that yet. Yeah, so I am using the recommended needles. I believe that they're a size 4 needle. Oh, actually I am using, so I just talked about my love of ChiaoGoo. These are Lantern Moon. Oh, they have a name. They're Lantern Moon needles. So they are wooden needles, but the cable to me feels just like the ChiaoGoo red lace needles. And I really do enjoy wooden needles occasionally. It depends on the project. So I went to one of my local knitting stores or local yarn stores here in the Austin area called the Knitting Cup. And they had these Lantern Moon ebony something needles that I'd heard people talk about. So I really want to try them. So I did get a pair for this project. Also now looking, I realize these are size 6, 4.0 millimeter needles, not US size 4. Again, Ravelry project pages, details, etc. will be listed below. Yeah, so that is my start on the Snarkometer shawl. Okay, the other new start I have to show you is a crochet project, and I am so excited about it. Again, I don't have enough knitting bags, so this one is in this weird little yarny backpack thing that I got with a product I'll show you in haul. But it's working really well to hold this big sweater project. The project I started is the Magnus cardigan by Megan Makes Do. And this is a free pattern, or you can buy the download ad-free on Ravelry, or you can do what I did, which is buy the kit from Lion Brand and get a PDF emailed to you. And then you get all the yarn. This is my first crochet project in many, many, many years. Crochet was the first craft that I really learned as a little kid. All of the women in my life, all of my mom, my aunts, my grandmothers, my sisters, everyone knows how to crochet. It's just a thing that all of us like to do. Even some uncles love to crochet. So yeah, it's just something I used to always do, and I haven't done it, I think, since my 20s at some point. And I kind of just wanted to, like, now that I'm back in like the knitting game and knitting again, I was like, let me revisit crochet and see, because I used to love to crochet, and turns out I can still do it. I had to watch a couple tutorials on a couple things, but like I'm like, yeah, it's like riding a bike. I know how to crochet again. So I got my Magnus cardigan started, and I've made a lot of progress. If you follow me on Instagram, which is at ElizabethAnnCanKnit on Instagram, I was sharing this a lot in my stories a couple of weeks ago. Progress slowed down because I started a Thanksgiving vest that I will show you in a minute, and I've been obsessed with and trying to get done for Thanksgiving, which is less than a week away. But I have made a lot of progress on this crochet project. I am knitting with the called for yarn because I bought the kit from Lion Brand directly. I just didn't want to like mess around. I was like, this is kind of a new craft because I haven't crocheted in a while, so let me just get the kit. If there are still kits available, I will link them down below. I am using Wool Ease by Lion Brand, which is a mostly acrylic, it's like an acrylic wool blend. 80% acrylic, 20% wool. Feels totally wearable and soft, not scratchy or weird at all. And then I am using the accent color, which is this Scarfy Light. And I have used most of this ball, so sorry, I'm showing you an empty ball here. But this is 100% acrylic, I believe, or maybe there's some like nylon in it as well. Okay, it's like an acrylic polyester nylon wool, so there is some wool in it. But it is like honestly super, super soft and fluffy, and I love it. And it's been very fun to crochet with once I had the right hook. So I did order the recommended hooks from Lion Brand because I just really don't have crochet hooks in my house anymore. And they were not good. They were wooden hooks, which I'd never really used before, but I was like, you know, like when you're buying something and it shows like recommended items or suggested items that other people have bought, I saw the crochet hooks in that little section and I was like, oh yeah, perfect, add to cart. They were not smooth. Basically they had like, not splinters, but like they just weren't perfectly smooth. And so while trying to crochet this very fluffy, fuzzy yarn, it was just like, I was just constantly splitting and yanking on the yarn because like the hook wasn't perfectly smooth and it was a nightmare. So I very quickly got on Amazon and ordered myself a Prim hook, P-R-Y-M. That seemed to be like the most highly rated when I kind of like Googled, because I haven't bought crochet hooks in forever. All I used to ever use were just the aluminum, I think it was Boye, B-O-Y-E brand crochet hooks that you could get at Michael's or Joann's or Hobby Lobby or wherever. And I was like, let me Google and see what everybody's favorite crochet hooks are. To me, this looks like a toothbrush, right? But honestly, I love it. It's working great. And let me finally show you the progress on my cardigan. Oh my God. If I fold it in, you can see I'm knitting it flat because it is a cardigan. Oh my God, the ends. I don't even want to talk about the ends right now. I'll talk about them in a minute. So here's what it's looking like. I am maybe about 6 inches away from the underarms. This is a little bit of a longer cardigan. So I think, I don't know, maybe I'm less than 6 inches. If I hold it here, yeah, maybe I'm only like 3 or 4 inches away from the underarms. But oh my gosh, I feel like this looks so cool. It's such an easy pattern. Something that was new to me is this crochet ribbing. It's not something I've ever done before. And I have seen on other people's crochet projects that some people prefer to skip the crochet ribbing and then pick up and knit ribbing, like use knitting to do the ribbing later. It's not something I'd thought about, but I don't know. We'll see how this like wears and washes and stuff. And maybe in the future I would pick up and do knitted ribbing. But for now, I think it looks pretty cool to do like crocheted ribbing. I am using all the recommended needle sizes, recommended yarn, everything is to pattern. I had started out thinking that I was going to knit the 2XL size based on like the recommended ease and my body measurements. But once I got the ribbing done and held it up kind of around my like upper hips, like where the cardigan is going to hit, it just looked way too long. And I don't know if that's about my gauge and tension because I haven't crocheted in a while and maybe I'm crocheting looser than what is expected for this pattern. To be honest, I've never done a crochet gauge swatch. Is that a thing? I usually do a knit gauge swatch, but I've never swatched for crochet. So maybe that's something I need to look into. But what I ended up doing was just deciding to knit the extra large size. So I did buy the kit for the 2XL, so I'll have a little bit of extra yarn, I think, because I think the other kit for XL required one less ball of something, but that's okay. So now I'm knitting, yeah, the extra large size, and it looks plenty big. The ends. So this is a 1-row repeat, meaning you can't really carry the yarns up the side because you're changing yarns every single row. And there is a video tutorial from Megan Makes Do on building this cardigan, and she promises that she will show us how to deal with the ends at the end. I have not watched ahead in the video. I'm just kind of watching as I move section to section. So right now these ends are kind of giving me nightmares. To be honest, I hate weaving in ends, but I'm just trusting the process. And you know, if I have to spend 4 hours at the end of this project, weaving in ends, I will do it. Because yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to have the finished product on this one. And honestly, I really feel like it's going to go super fast once I have a little bit more time to dedicate to it. So yeah, that is my Magnus cardigan. Okay, I have one more new start to show you, and this is the thing that I've been knitting nonstop for the last week, and it is my Thanksgiving vest. And it is the pattern, the Aria Slipover. And I don't really know yet if I want to recommend the pattern to you, only because it was designed by a German woman and written in German first and then translated to English. And I have found the pattern a little bit hard to follow. I don't know if it's because because of the translation or just the way, the style in which this woman writes her patterns. But I absolutely loved the style and shape of it, and it was exactly what I was looking for. I wanted a DK weight because that's kind of my favorite weight to knit garments in, because it's not bulky, but it's not super small. You can use like US 6 4.0 millimeter needles, so it goes pretty quickly. So like sport weight, DK weight is kind of like my sweet spot for garments. And this pattern fit the bill. I actually believe I saw this, I have watched a few videos by Nora Knits, and she did like a slipover vest roundup a couple weeks ago, and I'm pretty sure that's where I first saw this pattern. And then it kept coming up when I was filtering on Ravelry, and so that's why I chose it. But it doesn't have a ton of project pages like other people who have knit it, which I discovered while trying to like work through some issues I had with understanding the pattern. And most of the people who have knit it are German, and so all their project notes are in German. And so I was like, dang it, okay, I can't really like rely on other knitters to help me out with this project. I think I've done everything right. I've been really studying the photos the designer has and really reading and rereading and reading again the instructions to make sure I know what I'm doing, and I think I am on the right track. But I would say knit this pattern at your own risk if you are not a native German speaker. And actually I did find a Barocco, was it Barocco or Drops? It might have been Drops, a free pattern that's actually pretty similar. I'll try and find it and put it up on the screen here and link it for you down below. That might kind of give you the same look if you're interested in knitting a vest like this. So this is going to be so hard to show you the progress on because it's at a very awkward position. This vest was knit bottom up, and I don't do a ton of bottom up knitting. I've done it before, but it's not my preferred method. So right now I am working on the front. Let's see, how do I hold this up? Oh gosh, no matter what I do, it's gonna look kind of raggedy right now. Here you go. Here's a little overview. You can see it's got the lovely little split hem. And I am working on the fronts. So all of the back stitches are on a long needle. I have finished the right front, so it is on a little cable, and I am actively working on the left front. Yeah. I started this, I cast this on last Friday evening, so 1 week ago, and I'm almost done with the front. And then I just have the back and to pick up the armholes and the neck hole. So I am totally finishing this by Thanksgiving. My stretch goal that I set for myself was to finish knitting this by Sunday evening. That way I could block it on Monday and Tuesday and not be stressing about trying to get it blocked and dry before Thanksgiving so I can wear it. And I think I'm gonna hit my goal. I am using, let me see if I can find the yarn. I am using Bear Paw DK by Farmer's Daughter Fibers. Last Friday afternoon, I actually ran down to one of my local yarn stores, which is called Hill Country Weavers in South Austin. And they were actually having a sale on Farmer's Daughter Fibers to kind of support her. I think there's a charity, I don't know a ton about this brand, but I think there's a charity, an indigenous charity that she supports with some of her yarn sales. And so my local yarn store was offering a discount and like a charitable donation thing. And I just absolutely fell in love with this yarn and with the color. It is really just like a rusty red color. I wanted something like festive and red, but not only wear it at Christmas type red. I wanted something a little more wearable, but also very like red Christmas. I don't know. The yarn is 20% yak, 20% silk, and 60% superwash merino. And it is so, so soft. The only thing I've noticed in trying on my vest as I've been knitting it to like make sure I have the right length is that it does shed. I don't know if it's the yak. It's probably the yak, right? Because I feel like superwash merino I knit with all the time and I don't really find a lot of shedding. So it must be the yak content or the silk, but I don't think silk sheds. I don't know. But we'll see how it wears like after I wash it and block it and everything. But it is like super, super soft and dreamy. And I think this will be just a slightly drapier than my normal like kind of superwash merino garments. I am filming a little vlog of making this sweater and trying to make it in time for Thanksgiving. So I, you know, started filming last weekend when I started this vest. I've been giving like updates every day. And so like hopefully maybe the weekend after Thanksgiving, I'll have a little like vlog to share with you all of me actually knitting this, which will have even more of the details. Yeah, I'm knitting with the recommended pattern needles, US 6 4.0. And I did get gauge. I believe I got gauge. Yeah, I think my row gauge was very slightly off. I don't know why my row gauge is always the one that's off, but I'm able to modify that usually within patterns, just knitting things longer or shorter. So that's not really been a problem. So yeah, that is my Aria slipover. I am knitting the 2XL that is listed in the pattern. I will say that is the largest size offered. And with the recommended ease of this pattern, you know, that 2XL is like barely going to fit me. It is fitting. I have been trying it on, but I will say this pattern is not very size inclusive and I don't like that. I don't appreciate that in a pattern. I don't know why designers do that, but you know, it's me as somebody who wears like an extra large at Old Navy, you know, like an extra large t-shirt, I don't feel like that should be the largest size available to knitters, like at all. So that's another reason that I'm like not super recommending this pattern, but I am really loving, you know, kind of how this is knitting up and I am excited to have it as a finished garment. So I will share more about this with you hopefully in a week or so when I get it done. Okay, so I do have some other whips and things. Nothing I've worked on in the last few weeks, but I do have some that are kind of like hibernating or need some work done to them or some thinking through. And I thought I might share those in this video, but I've now been filming for over 40 minutes. So I feel like it's probably it's probably getting too long. So I think I will wait and share those in a future video. But I do have some kind of acquisitions and haul and some stuff for plans and things I'm thinking about knitting. So I'm going to share that with you real quick and then we'll wrap up. No, I'm a liar. I'm just kidding. First, I forgot I started a new pair of socks. I love, 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 love to knit socks and, seasonal socks even better. So this is actually kind of part of haul, so it makes sense in this section. I bought this yarn called Sugar Cookies by the Kinetic Knitter. She was having a shop update and unfortunately I was not quick enough to get the normal Sugar Cookies sock yarn, but she did have a few one-of-a-kind like misfit, misdye type skeins listed and honestly it still looked beautiful. So I went ahead and grabbed the like misdye. Here is what it looks like all caked up. It's like a very soft rosy pink base with all kinds of fun speckles. And I have no idea what's wrong with this or why it was misdyed, but I think it's knitting up into a gorgeous sock. Here is what I have so far on the sock. I am just doing a 2x2 rib vanilla sock. I like to follow the Crazy Sock Ladies vanilla sock tutorial with 64 stitches. And I really love a 2x2 stretchy rib sock. So I thought, let me just do a fun rib, especially with the speckles. I feel like that really kind of shows off the speckles and kind of helps with sometimes with pooling that you get on hand-dyed yarn. I really haven't noticed too much pooling or anything weird. So yeah. I started these the other night because I wanted a break from my vest, but like I really couldn't take too long of a break because I really have a deadline for that. So yeah, I just randomly started these the other night, and that's the progress I made. So these will just be for me. I am knitting mine on a size 1.5 needle, mostly because that was the needle that was free. And I do tend to like, I have larger feet. I'm a tall girl. I have larger feet. So I do tend to like a US 1 or 1.5 needle for my socks. I don't typically knit on like a size 0 or anything like that. I've even done some on size 2. Just kind of depends on the yarn I'm using. So yeah, that is my last whip and a little bit of haul. And now let's get into the rest of the haul. Okay, the first purchase that is like changing my life, I know I'm dramatic, but it's changing my life, is my ChiaoGoo interchangeable needles. I talked about my love of the ChiaoGoo red lace, and I decided that I was sick of just buying fixed circular sizes for every new project, and that I wanted to try an interchangeable set. I had an interchangeable set 15, 20 years ago when I used to knit, but I remember the joins would never stay tight, and it would always like come loose, and it would snag my yarn, and I hated them. But these have such good reviews, and I really wanted to try them. So my short review, I've had these 2-3 weeks now. Love, great purchase. It is a little bit of an expense up front, but you're getting a lot of knitting needles for your money, I feel like. And I also like, okay, I don't love the way this case looks, but I love the functionality of this case and how it holds all my needles. So I'm happy with that. I wish there were like other color options or print options, but whatever, it's fine. So here is the set. You can see the size 6s are missing because that's what I'm using on my vest right now. And I've started adding in some of the bigger sizes by buying them separately. So I think I bought this, I'll link the set I bought below, but I bought the set that comes with US size 2 through 8 and some cables and accessories. And then I bought a size 10 and 10.5 set because I was swatching for a project that I ended up not starting, and I wanted those sizes. And I've bought a few extra cables, but otherwise this set really, I feel like, has everything you kind of need for most projects. And especially garment knitting, where, you know, the main body is on one size needles, your collar, your cuffs, and other things are on like a smaller needle, and maybe you bind off with a larger needle, you know, all those kinds of things. It's so nice to be able to just screw off a needle tip and add on the size you need. I know I'm explaining interchangeable needles to knitters, and you're probably like, yeah, we know, but it's really improved my knitting game. I'm very happy about these. This is like a little extra cable I have stashed in here. And then I have most of the rest of my extra cables in this like little front pocket. So like the little turner key and the needle, like the cable caps and all the other little accessories I just stash in here. And then this is so easy to just like fit in a bag. So like when I travel, like when we go to Indiana in a couple of weeks, you better believe I'm bringing this whole thing with me and a couple knitting projects, and then I have everything I need with me. So that was an excellent, excellent haul purchase that I made recently. I think the rest of this haul is all yarn. Where do I want to start? Actually, I'm going to start with a gift. My friend Lauren, who I talked about earlier, who is the New Hampshire stitcher here on YouTube, she gifted me a skein of yarn to say thank you for the knitting bag that I had made her for our shawl projects. And she addressed the card with ElizabethAnnCanKnit. Yeah, I can. And that's what I'm naming this little knitting series. So she gifted me a sock yarn from On the Round. It's their Nimble sock, 85-15 superwash merino nylon, and it's in the color Fireworks. And it is so pretty. My absolute favorite thing right now is kind of a neutral base with speckles, and I think she knows that, and yes, this is perfect. Thank you, Lauren. I really appreciate it. And I'm gonna add it. Okay, can y'all see this in the video? This is like my hand-dyed fingering weight sock yarn stash, which is like really gotten out of control. I don't care. I love it. So the skein's gonna get popped up in there with its little buddies. As I've gotten more into following knitters on YouTube and Instagram, I have fallen down the rabbit hole of hand-dyed yarn, which I talked about, and I discovered Woolberry Fiber Company, and they had a pre-order for a color called October. I got their Berry Merino, which is just 100% superwash merino. So not something I would use for socks because there's no nylon. I got 2 of these skeins, and I think my plans are for some sort of shawl. I used to knit a lot of shawls back in the day, and I still love them. So here are the gorgeous skeins of October. So lovely. I'm gonna have to unfollow some hand dyers, I swear, because I'm ordering off of everyone's pre-order, and there's just, one, I don't have the storage space, and I don't have the time to knit all these projects, but I'm really, really enjoying the collecting of the yarn at this point right now, so whatever. Okay, and then I have 3 skeins of hand-dyed DK yarn from various dyers that I got for potential hat projects to knit for Christmas gifts. So if you're any of my friends and family, don't make guesses as to what is for who or whatever. I won't tell you. But I got DK weight because I just felt like that would be a nice, I just love DK weight yarn, let's just be honest. But it would be a good like gift knit yarn size. And so I have in mind the Pearl Soho 1x1 ribbed beanie that's a free pattern that's super popular, and so any of these might become hats. This one might become one for me because of how much I love this yarn. This is Dream in Color Cosette, and it is the colorway Loose Gems, and I mean, I feel like it's amazing. I love all the pinks and reds and blues that pop off this white base. So that's the first one I got. I got a Madeline Tosh Farm Twist, which I'm using in another project and I knew I loved. And the color is called Barbara Deserved Better Barbie. Basically a Barbie color. Okay, I ran out of memory card space and had to delete a couple files, but we're back. So yes, I was saying that I know exactly who I think this hat's gonna be for. Yeah, I just think it's so cute. This is actually a little bit, I feel like this is a little heavier than a DK. I might be able to knit this on 7 or 8. They classify it as DK, but we'll see. I think my other project is a blanket that I'm working on with this yarn, and it is a size 7 needles that I'm using on that. So I got that one. And then I also got this Hedgehog Fibers because I'm just kind of obsessed with their yarn. This is their Merino DK. So this is just 100% superwash merino, and it is the color Jelly, which is just a really pretty hot pink and even hotter pink variegated yarn. So yep, that is kind of the yarn I've been getting for gift knitting. What else? Oh yeah, okay. I have this humongous bag of yarn that I got from Knit Picks. Knit Picks used to be my absolute favorite #1 yarn place when I first started knitting because great quality and great prices. As like a college student and recent college graduate, when I was knitting, I needed the lower priced yarns, but I loved the like hand-dyed tonal looks of some of their yarns and just the fiber content. Like I love natural fibers. That's my favorite to knit with. So anyways, I wanted to revisit Knit Picks. Also, well, I'll talk about it when I get to it. Let me get this yarn out of here before I keep rustling this bag. Okay, first thing in here is one of their big clear vinyl project bags. It has a flat bottom and a zip top. Perfect for a bigger project. I have some Advent stuff that I'll talk about in a second, and I want to start some Advent projects this year, or one Advent project. Well, no, 2. And I felt like this might be a good bag for that because it zips closed, nice and big size, and this was really reasonably priced, and I needed more knitting project bags. So I got that. And then I wanted to try, I think this is kind of a newer yarn for them, or maybe some new colorways. It's the Hawthorne Fingering Weight yarn from Knit Picks. And this is the color Cobbler Speckle. And so I think Knit Picks is now doing some like hand-dyed yarns, which is awesome. So this is what the kind of cobbler speckle looks like. I don't have a plan for it right now. I just really wanted to kind of try some of their yarns again. So I got 2 skeins of that. And then I got another color of the Hawthorn fingering weight. And let's see, what is this one called? Picnic Kettle Dye. So just a super deep kind of red. I don't know. I love reds. Surprise, surprise. Do y'all know that, that like audio on TikTok and Instagram? Surprise, surprise. It's my favorite and applies to everything. I laugh at every single one of those reels or TikToks. I bought more yarn. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, it's me. Okay, this yarn I bought with a purpose, and I want to tell you guys about it because if you're a cross stitcher who doesn't knit and you're watching this video, hi, thank you. But maybe you want to learn how to knit. I kind of want to do knit with me, learn to knit videos. I taught my friend Liz, hello from Liz Matthews, she's a cross stitch designer. I taught her how to knit on a trip in September that we took to Phoenix. And the pattern I taught her to knit is a 1x1 striped scarf. I discovered this pattern back in 2007, I think, when it was published on Jared Flood or Brooklyn Tweed's blog. He used to be one of my faves back in the day. I mean, I guess still is, but I haven't really read knitting blogs. Do they still exist? I don't know. In a long time. And I knit mini versions, including one like his with the Noro, which is gorgeous yarn. But I wanted to find something from Knit Picks because it's at a better price point, especially for a beginner who might not want to spend a lot on their first yarns because who knows how it's going to turn out and if you're going to like knitting, etc. So I decided for my new version of this scarf to use Knit Picks Swish worsted weight, which is such a great soft superwash yarn. I got the color Hollyberry, which is this really pretty pinky red, like my absolute fave. And then I found this really cool yarn on their website that introduces long color changes similar to like a Noro. And this is called Chroma Worsted Weight. And you can kind of see some of those long color change details. This is, let's see, this is a 70% superwash wool and 30% nylon. It does say you can machine wash on cold and tumble dry low. So I felt like a perfect pair with this Swish superwash worsted. And so my stripes, every other stripe will be this pretty red pink. And then every other stripe will be color changing in this yarn. Or I guess it's like a two row repeat. So every 2 rows will be this and then this. So I just wanted to mention this now in case anybody was waiting on me to make a knitting tutorial. Not like there aren't 1,000 of them already available to you, but I thought maybe as part of my like Stitchmas, Vlogmas, kind of December videos that I like to do, that one of them might be a little learn to knit a scarf tutorial for you guys. So I will link the yarns I'm using below if you want to buy any and get yourself ready for that. You can also definitely just go run over to Michael's, Joann's, wherever, and get 2 solid colors, like, or you could do 1 color. It doesn't have to be striped. I think the striping is really fun. Obviously I like color work. I've talked about that. So this is what I'm recommending. But you do you. Get whatever you like. And hopefully I'll have a video on how to knit sometime in December. The last thing I got is for an Advent project. And that is the Swish DK weight. So same as that Hollyberry yarn, but in a DK weight. And this is, I think, Nutmeg Heather. And I only bought 3 balls because I wanted to make sure I liked the color first before I bought more, because this is going to be going into a blanket project. I got an Advent calendar from Ruby and Roses, and that's another hand dyer that I've fallen in love with. That's thanks to Nitty Natty. I've been watching her videos and all her yarn shop tours, and she visited Ruby and Roses storefront and like dye studio, and I'm obsessed, and I ordered an Advent calendar. They are sold out now, but I cannot wait to open that, and I'll be opening that on video, I think, in my Vlogmas, Stitchmas videos. And so I want to do the sweet shop blanket, I believe. That's my loose plans. I haven't made any final plans yet because I haven't seen what's in my advent calendar yet. So I'll probably, you know, I'll make decisions later. But I got this Swish DK weight to be kind of the main color of a sweet shop blanket. The yarn, for some reason this color is now sold out, so I've been like, I put myself on the like notified list because I know I definitely will need more of it, and I love the feel and the color of it, so I definitely want more of this yarn. It is a 100% superwash merino wool, machine wash cold, tumble dry low. So yeah, anyways, I'm very excited. Oh, I have one more thing. Okay, last thing is my second advent calendar that I bought. This one is still available, which is why I'm showing it here, because if you're interested, I will have it linked in the description box. This is one from Jimmy Bean's Wool, and this is a little bit different than like a hand dye mini skein advent that I got from Ruby and Roses. This one is full of yarn, but it is specific to make ornaments, like Christmas ornaments. It's called a craft vent, so it like comes with the tools and the supplies to actually make a specific project, and it's all Madeline Tosh yarn, which is my favorite. And I didn't know it was going to come looking like this. I absolutely love this box. I'll open it up for you. It's so cute, and it's taking all of my willpower to not open every single one of these and look in here, but I'm keeping it a surprise. I'm just admiring from here. There are 3 different versions, I think, that have like different colors or styles of yarn. And I got the Holiday Lights version because that one said it had some sparkle or stellina type yarn in it. And I love a sparkle. I was trying to see my wedding photos. I have some wedding photos up here. My wedding dress was like, I looked like a disco ball basically. So I love the glitter. I love the sparkle. So that's why I picked this one. Yeah. So I think that's everything now. If it's not, it's going to have to be. It was really fun to film my very first knitting specific video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you do, maybe give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see my future knitting videos. Or if you're also a multi-crafter, I do videos on my cross stitch, quilting, sewing, tutorials, project bags. Basically, this is just my outlet, my creative outlet. I have a corporate project management type job. This is all for fun and as a hobby, and I just make videos about whatever I feel like, whatever I'm working on at any given week, whatever I feel like working on, that's what I share with you guys. So I hope you all enjoy it, and thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Also, I have to end this video because if I don't take the sweater off, I will die. It is, how warm is it today here? It is currently 77 degrees, so time for the sweater to come off. Okay, bye!